Welcome back guys. So in this tutorial we'll be learning more about users and groups. Let's say we want to add a user alpha. Just simply write the command sudo user add and the name of the new user you want to create. So we create alpha and hit enter. It will ask your password. Whenever you are using sudo for the first time inside a particular terminal window, it will ask for a password. Give your current password and hit enter. So this means that a user has been created. In order to set a password for a user, there is a command PASSWD. So this is the command. If we simply write this and hit enter, we are changing the password for Kryptonite. However, we don't want this here. So what we'll do is sudo passwd and the name of the user. So we want to prepare a password for alpha and hit enter. So it will ask for a new password. Let's give anything. Now we have to retype to confirm it and hit enter. So password has been updated successfully. To change the user account, we can do sudo su, which means switch user, and name of the user. Now we have become that user. Now to verify that, do who am I and we are alpha. To see a format like this, like we can see username and the host name, what we can do is simply write bash and hit enter. You will get the bash shell, and here again we have alpha and Kali. Now to go back to the Kryptonite user, simply write exit and hit enter. Again exit and hit enter. So we are back to Kryptonite. There are two very important files in Linux, which is password and shadow file. It will be better if you remember their path always. So the path to password file is etc password and path to shadow file is etc shadow. Right. First let's see what does etc password contain. So simply write cd. First we'll change the directory and go inside etc. Hit enter. Now we are inside etc. Do ls-l and hit enter. There are a lot of files. Now we'll go to. There are a lot of files, but we are interested in password file for the moment. So here is our password file. As we can see the permissions, the user who owns this file is root and the group that owns this file is root. So the user root has the read and write permissions. The group root has only read permissions and others have only read permissions. And what about the shadow file? Now here is the shadow file. The user is root and the group is shadow. Root has read and write permissions and shadow as a group has just read permissions and others have no permissions at all. Now why does others have no permission at all? This is because it is a very critical file. It contains all the password hashes. We'll come to this in a while, but let's see what does password file has. So we'll do cat passwd and hit enter. So this basically contains data about users, their user ID, group ID, and some more information. For example, let's find a user Kryptonite. So we can see here is Kryptonite user, right? This X means that there is a password hash stored inside the shadow file. This is the user ID and this is the group ID. So there is a little more stuff here. This is our home directory and this will be our login shell. So this is the bash shell. Like we saw for user alpha, we were only getting the $sign. That was because it will use this shell whenever alpha logs in. Also, one important fact to know is that user ID and group ID for root is 0. Remember this. Now let's see if we can try and read the shadow file. So as we are already inside etc directory, we need not give the complete path as etc shadow. We can simply write cat shadow and hit enter. Now why we are getting this permission denied error? As we saw, we'll do ls-l and let's see the permission for shadow file. Hit enter. As you can see, we are neither root and also we don't belong to the shadow group. We are Kryptonite. Our username is Kryptonite. So that means we fall into the others category. That means we fall into this category. which neither has read permissions, not write permissions, not execute permissions. Hence, we are not able to read this file. But if we become user, then we can read this file. So you know the further process of becoming a root user. Simply do sudo su and enter the password and you'll become the root user. Then you can read and write on shadow file. Let's get back to our home directory. If we simply write cd, we'll get into our home directory. See the contents here. Let's say I want to change the user and the group role for test.txt file. Now there is a command chown which helps us here. Chown, now give the user which you want to assign to a file. Let's say we want to give root, followed by a colon, and then give the group name. Let the group name be kryptonite only. And what file? Test.txt. Hit enter. Now it says operation not permitted. Fine, we will use sudo and hit enter. Now the command has been run successfully. Let's see it for ourselves. Yes, now the user is root and the group name is kryptonite. Now let's come to groups. We already created a user alpha by the command user add, and whenever we create a new user, automatically a primary group is assigned to the user with the same name. So for example, if we created alpha as a user, so it will automatically belong to group with name alpha. So now let's say we want to create a group called hackers and we want to add alpha to that. So what we'll do is, so first do that by creating a group. We'll do sudo group add and the name of the group. Cool. The command executed without any error. Hence the group hackers has been created. Now we want to add alpha to this hackers group. What we can do is sudo user mod -a. -a means add. -g means to which group you want to add. So we want to add to hackers. And whom do you want to be added into hackers group? So we want alpha to be added to hackers group. Now there are two options here, capital G and small g. If we do small g, the default group that alpha is added to, the primary group which was alpha, it will get changed. So remember I told you whenever we create a user alpha, automatically group alpha is created. So automatically that user alpha belongs to the group alpha. So what will happen there is the group alpha will be erased and hackers will take its place. But we don't want that. We want another group to be created and alpha should be added to that. Simply hit enter. And now alpha belongs to this hackers group also. So let's say for example, instead of kryptonite here, it is given as hackers. That means that these permissions will belong to the hackers group. And alpha is a part of hackers group. Hence, whenever we are logged in as alpha, we will have read and write permissions to this group. Why? Because here instead of kryptonite, I'm just saying if it would have been hackers. And alpha belongs to hackers. Now if we want to delete the user alpha that we created, simply write sudo user del, which means user delete, and write the name of the user you want to delete, hit enter. The user will be deleted. So I hope you learned a lot of things in this tutorial. Thank you.